This podcast is made possible through listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina.
Kick this one here for me and my.
Yo, what's up, beautiful people? I'm Kennedy Alexander, along with Courtney Thomas and our DJ T.O., and this is the AUXdacity,
where music meets culture, history, and the future we're shaping together.
In each episode, we take a deep dive into how sound moves people across generations, genres, and moments in time. On the AUXdacity, we love celebrating talent that's coming straight out of South Carolina. Mincie is an up-and-coming duo building momentum and creating a sound all their own, and you'll get a chance to see them perform a little later in the show.
Today, we're talking about the past, present, and future of music, and how what came before still shapes what we hear today. Joining us today are voices who live and breathe music, artists and creators who know its history, its influence, and where it's headed next. We have some incredible guests with us today. We have Neek during the day, Neek at night, and Dr. Birgitta Johnson, an ethnomusicologist. So, Dr. Johnson, I have to start and ask you, what is an ethnomusicologist?
Yes.
Shortest answer, the study of music and culture or music in social context.
Okay.
That's quick version.
Okay, I know there's more.
Yes.
I know there's more. But let's just jump into the conversation here. So what made you fall in love with music? Not to sound too brown sugar, but what brought you here?
That's a great primer. I've always loved music. I always tell people I could whistle before I could talk. Oh. My dad taught me how to whistle as a baby, and so I would be in the crib whistling. My mom hated it. But, we used to go to the store, and I used to sing all the items, commercials off the shelf. And so back in those days, you had to check. And so my mom would get her check verified. It was like, we know who you are. They will already know who I am because I would be known to come in there and sing the commercials from all the products I would see from television. So I always loved music. Muppet Show was a big influence. I'm happy to see it back on TV. Yes. So I've always been around music, started playing instruments in elementary school and just went on from there.
Okay, that's super dope.
That's a great origin.
And we got Neek representing Hot 103.9, 93.9 in the building. So Neek, you got to tell the people, when did you fall in love with music?
Oh, goodness. So I grew up along the Jersey Shore, and, hip hop was definitely prevalent in the tri-state area, Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia. So, we got to see the rapping, the breakdancing, and all of the things. And, I always just loved music. My mom and dad, traditionally on Saturday mornings, they getting up and they're turning on music and cleaning up the house. And so that's where my love of music started from my parents.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's real dope. I can imagine, trying to, break dance like now at this age. Man, I might throw a hip out or something.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that at all.
I actually kind of want to ask our CJ the same question, because what I think about the people who are sitting here, you'll have this encyclopedic knowledge of music, and I think T.O. has a very similar understanding. So how did you fall in love with music?
This is going to sound very non-traditional. Tupac just dove straight into it, and from there you just got to kind of start peeling back the layers. So speaking on favorite artists, I know you're from the tri-state area, but I know you also spent a lot of time in Atlanta and the South, pretty much most of your career. If you had to say a top three, who might be top three most influential or favorite?
I would say probably lyrically and his delivery would be Rakim. When we go ahead and we take it down south, I would say definitely Outkast.
Yes.
I just love the synergy between the two of them. So, I don't necessarily have one that's favorite over the other. I just like both of them together. Female wise, I would probably, you were actually playing MC Light earlier. You know what I'm saying? So, I would definitely give, kudos to her as well. She always has had a very unique sounding voice.
We can't mention Outkast without letting Dr. Johnson hop in there, because I know you've done some work on Outkast.
It's actually, Neek said it perfectly. I like both of them. I'm from Atlanta. I grew up when they were growing up. That whole scene was like my high school upward age. And so they, as a kind of amalgamation of hip hop in the South, Southern hip hop, the soul, the funk, the church. I've written about their spiritual side as well as just all these symbols that they bring in. So as a duo, they are the dynamic duo of what Southern hip hop really is. Outside of kind of copy another style, they made it their own. I heard them. I was like, this sounds like those dudes who go to Tri-City. And I'm like, oh, one of them does go to Tri-City. So they sounded like where they were from, and they represented a multi-generational way of thinking about hip hop. So love Outkast. You know, we don't need no more records. They just
We just listen to the old stuff.
I could use another one. One more.
No, we could eat off their stuff forever.
No, we really
So
could.
they set a good standard, and now we just want all the younger artists to kind of follow in that, represent from where you really are, and not chasing trends.
Yeah. Wow. I'm a huge Outkast fan. One thing I love about like Outkast and artists like Outkast is like when you listen to their music and like they're rapping about the community that they came from, and like so you go to Atlanta and you see a Peachtree or you see a Camilton Road and you be like, oh man, they were talking about that in the song.
Yeah,
so it's like,
exactly.
like it feels like I get to experience what they experienced. How do you guys think, and both of you guys can answer this, like how do you feel music influenced community and identity, like kind of like when we're growing up?
I would say, you can actually see it, through fashion, honestly and truly, like, I feel like when we're talking about hip hop, that it was, influenced through a lot of fashion. You know what I mean? It's synonymous with one another. So with hip hop, you kind of got the flash and the floss and, you know what I mean? And, with the braggadocious, kind of personalities that, came from hip hop and stuff like that. So I feel like that fashion definitely bleeded into mainstream America, you know what I'm saying? And that came through, the evolution of hip hop when we're starting from the 70s all the way up to still present day. You know what I mean? So I would say that
I would agree. I
hasn't...
definitely think like music shaped the fashion world and vice versa.
Yes,
Because you got to think even 80s, 90s, you got like everybody was on the baggy jeans, even the girls, TLC, everybody's on like baggy clothes, Tommy Hilfiger.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we like evolved.
Yes.
It's almost going back there now.
Yeah, things go in cycles. And then, when we talk about community and, and if you are a lyrical person, you had certain artists that, spoke about what was going on in present day, you know what I mean? At that time. And you still have some artists that, still talk about what is culturally going on always, whether it's, it's politics, whether it is, war, military, whatever the case may be, whatever is going on in society, people in music. And I won't even just say hip hop. We're just going to say all genres across the board, definitely will speak on and reflect it. And we all saw it in the Grammys. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of people definitely speaking out, so I think that's how music also, shapes community as well.
Wow. How about you, Dr. Johnson?
I say shapes as well as reflects community. The best music, the most popular music sounds like what you've been through. So you think about Black music specifically and why it's so globally popular, because it's telling everyday stories. And so that's always been inherent in Black American music styles, where the artists are singing about what they see every day. That's what blues artists was doing, singing about not only just the, sadness and my baby broke up with me. They also talked about the racism of the day. They talked about that cheating man and how to get back on them or whatever, or in this case, just how to survive the world. And so when you have music that does that and it resonates with people, it's going to be popular in that community. But other people are going to say, "Oh, that I experienced that as well." That's how hip hop becomes a global genre. It wasn't a rich genre. People from the lowest parts of the community were coming up with this wonderful creative thing. And then you didn't have to be, a music major or know 15 instruments. You can literally get a beat and your rhymes and you can go. And so people around the world is like, I can do that too. And the welcoming messages, you can be a part of this. And so the community aspects of it is reflecting what's going on. If it's looking too fake or too phony, we don't want it. And so you might have a good little hit, for a couple of years, but when people realize that's all you have and it's not truly your authentic self or your voice, it's on to the next.
Key word that you said is authentic. And like we can feel it, we can see it. And so those artists last, like the Kendricks, the J. Cole, even Tupac and Biggie from then to now. Like you're telling a story of what you saw, but you paint the picture so well that I can see it too. Like I never went through what Tupac went through, but like he painted the picture like Picasso. So it just kind of made me feel like I was there. And the Outkast did the same thing. Can't remember which song, but the Sasha Thumper song. It was like, if you're authentically you and you can paint a picture, I feel like you're here to last.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Dr. Johnson, in your last answer, you actually went through several decades of music. I would love to know from you you also teach young people.
Yes.
So what are some of the decades and moments in music culture that are maybe being reflected right now? or maybe you wish were being reflected
Well,
right
no,
now?
I always ask the students, one student mentioned in their quiz response Tupac. And I was like, well, how do you hear Tupac now? Because a lot of young people are not really into radio as much. They're mostly either into streaming or their own devices. So I'm like, well, how do you find the music? And they were like, oh, I find it on Spotify. I find it here. Well, how did you find out about it? Oh, my uncle. And so
Hey.
oftentimes families always come up as far as how young people are being exposed to music. I had one student said his favorite artist, well, he's like, I like old school. I said, what kind of old school? And he started naming all these Southern soul artists. And so most of his classmates were like naming hip hop artists and a couple of K-pop artists, but he was like, no, I like Southern soul. And so he's a guy around 19, 20 years old. He likes the music that we associate with older people. So families oftentimes are really intricate to introducing their young people to different types of music that are from different eras and different genres. And then, of course, now that anyone can pick up a phone and play anything, you have the variety now. You have the kids who love K-pop, and it's like, I only have, 2 friends who like this, and the other friends are in another county somewhere, but they get to talk to each other because they're on the same devices. So yeah, I'm always interested in how they find the music, but also who influenced them. So
That Saturday morning cleaning music.
there you go.
And that's what
There you
Neek
go.
was talking about earlier. And, with you guys being at the radio station and Dr. Johnson just mentioned, social media. What role does social media play in kind of shaping culture?
Oh, well, I mean, it's like you basically have to integrate it in what we're currently doing now. Because like she said, there's not, I would say probably the age demographic anywhere from 12 to maybe like 25, 26. They aren't listening to the radio. So how else can we reach them? We reach them through social media. You know what I mean? So we are, creating different content, whether it's somebody that's coming in that we're interviewing. Sometimes we come up with fun little skits that we do in-house or whatever the case may be, or we're covering when there may be a show in town or something like that. So, social media is always a conversation along with the music and incorporating it on different platforms. So,
yeah. See, because I'm a high school teacher and I'm always playing music in the classroom. And I'll play a song, and my students are like, oh, we don't want to hear that, Coach K. But then somebody do a dance to it on TikTok, and now it's their favorite song. It's like, I've been playing that song all semester.
Right.
How do you feel where radio doesn't fully have a place, you being in radio, and we had the personalities who would influence what was going to pop back then, but now it's like radio is taking more and more away from the personality. And when you're competing with Spotify and everything else, it's almost like the personality would be the most important aspect if I can get the music anywhere. But how do you feel like radio has changed to where they're not shaping the culture as much, or they're not kind of being the driving factor for what's going to pop?
Right. So, I mean, you brought up a very valid point. And so I think it's going to be up to the individual on-air personality that is on, even with, okay, so no, you can't talk for 10 minutes, what I'm saying, about something. What you have to do is you have to kind of just be creative in your delivery in 60 seconds or less. You know what I mean? And then sometimes if it's a really something that is, we feel like may be important to the audience that we're broadcasting to, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to expound on that. We got to find different creative ways. And as you were saying earlier, it's telling a story, right? And the person being able to paint the picture is theater of the mind. So, still there's people, and I'm still even blown away to this day where people are like, oh, I've never seen you before. And I'm like, I mean, you can go on the website, you can go on social media and see what I look like. But, there's some people that sometimes they just still listen to the radio.
You have one of those voices that just, South Carolina, oh, I know. That is Neek's voice. So
thank you.
But
I appreciate it.
To your point, we have to challenge the community to support the radio. We have. I'm going to pump it. You got to support the radio. You got to tell young people radio is not dead. Radio is even online as well, but it's more important to make sure you know your local radio personalities. They are the people speaking for your community. And so you can listen to syndicated corporate radio, but when something goes down, you don't want to hear what's going on in LA. You want to hear what's going on in your state, in your community. So you have to support your DJs. You have to call in. You have to make your voice heard because they are ambassadors. So unless we start changing this narrative and saying you have to call in and support your people, they won't be there. They are fighting corporate radio. So we got to help them fight by tuning in, signing up, getting on the social media, sharing the stuff, because they're ours. They are the ones, when they say when Martin Luther King was assassinated, the radio DJs were the ones telling people to stay inside, stay off the street, be cool, playing the music you need to hear. Corporations don't do that. We got to support our radio. We just can't buy the narrative that it's dead. It's not dead. As long as we're here, they're going to be here.
That's your homework. Support your local media, public television, and the radio.
Talking about bridging the gaps now, like who would you both say are more influential artists now, like current artists or new artists? Who would you say that are shaping the culture from what you see and hear request wise, what you see with students?
We talked about Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick,
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, on a global scale, what him and SZA did, you know, last year by going on tour and actually co-headlining one another and not just doing venues anywhere that maybe about 5,000 seater to maybe 15, 20,000. They were doing stadiums. You know what I mean? Like he made it on Forbes list as one of the top 5, I think, actually grossing, you know, concerts and tours, 2025. So, you know what I'm saying? And that, you know, usually that space is not necessarily reserved for a hip hop artist. You know, he definitely, you know, broke some barriers. And so, yeah, that's what I, you know.
I would say Kendrick and his work wife, Beyonce.
Yes.
So
Yes.
sometimes the young people are calling them work wife, work husband because how they come out with certain, how they have certain parallels in their career.
Yeah.
And like you said, those arena tours, Beyonce being still influential, multi-generational. She's bringing people into Black music around different generations. I mean, before Cowboy Carter, there are about 5 or 6 Black country artists no one knew about. All of a sudden, their numbers up. They're getting invited to tours. They're having their own tours. And so those influential artists that are always opening doors to other artists are the ones I'm really interested in.
Right.
People who are standing up for the little person, the little independent artists. People like Doechii. All my kids are talking about Doechii now, and what how she's representing the culture of hip hop and beyond in fashion world. So yeah, the people who are not just a singular solo person, the ones who are in community, who are trying to bring people along, who are trying to create opportunities with their success. Those are the most successful ones.
Y'all brought up Kendrick and Beyonce, and when I hear those artists, I immediately think samples. So I would love to hear from y'all. What are some of the like most influential samples? Because a sample is a way to like bring the history into the present. So I'd love to hear from y'all.
I mean, you have certain artists who are just going to be a well. So of course, people talk about James Brown samples. It's about Roy Ayers. Those are two most sample artists, Roy Ayers and James Brown.
Yeah.
Like statistically, they have the most samples. It's sometimes the era because of the music is so rich. If you got some rich music, it's going to get sampled if you have permission.
I was going to bring that up.
That's another part. If you have permission, because once again, Marvin Gaye would probably be the most sampled person, but his estate is like absolutely not.
One of the issues that's coming up today with like ownership and who owns what, we're talking about AI. So like going into the present and future of music, it can be very hard to own things when it's in this like commons and you have like the AI generating songs, creating artists. So what are we doing about music ownership when AI is this tool /
You fight AI. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a candid person. My students know that about me.
Yeah.
If you watch the premiere show of the Grammys, that's the 4 hours that happen before the Grammys. They get about 86 awards. There are about 3 or 4 artists talking about live music and no AI, because AI steals. AI does not create anything. It takes from an amalgamation of sounds. And so if we're gonna fight for James Brown owning his music and Sly Stone owning his music, and then let a program steal his music, because that's what they're doing. They're taking the actual essence of the production and the style and refashioning it, but the artists don't get any credit. The musicians don't get credit. And so if we're gonna fight for Black music and Black artists on one hand and then go like, oh, it's AI, it's a tool. No, it's not. It's actually musical theft. And so you do have generative AI that can mix up some rhythms and beats, but when you're actually talking about styles and sounds and lyrics, it's taking other people's work. And that's when a lot of artists are trying to fight back. We saw the case with a new generated artist where Victoria Monet said she stole my name. And then another singer said she stole my sound.
K. Michelle.
And so if you're saying this person is stealing using AI, they sound like me, I can't fight you in court because you're literally stealing my voice.
Yeah.
And so it gets really slippery, and a lot of artists don't like it because of it's taking other people's work. It's really just kind of refashioning it, and it's hard to fight it legally. I know the Recording Academy is dealing with it. I know they have rules against it right now, and they're trying to go to court and lobby. But if you've been fighting for Black artists all these decades, you cannot let technology make you give up on it.
Not only are we talking about the music and the creation of music, but we're also talking about, you know, like our intellectual property. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about our face. Like Matthew McConaughey just went on and decided to like basically copyright, like, you know what I'm saying, his face, you know what I'm saying, his voice, like, you know, everything. He was like, I'm not waiting for Congress to try to come up with laws. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just, because you have content creators that are on YouTube that are using AI, using, what I'm saying, prominent people using their voices without their permission and making money off of
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, some people are taking it into their own hands.
So we gotta fight AI, and we gotta make sure we copyright this. What skills do you guys feel like artists, or it sounds like humans in general, what skills will we need in the future to make sure that we're still able to do that?
I mean, well, we still, even though we are fighting that battle with AI, we still got to learn how to use it.
Yep. I would say learn the business and know your rights.
Yes.
We've always told people to learn the business, and people still don't learn the business. Music business is very complex. But there are shorter ways to do it, and there's easier ways to do it. YouTube tutorials, and they still put out books on the industry. Even as the industry changes, you still have to know your rights, know what's legal, what they can legally do right now, what they can't do illegal, and how to protect yourself, protect your art, when to put up that thing on Bandcamp or Spotify and when not to. Make sure you own it first before you put it up, because when it's out there, AI can pull it from anywhere. So unless you say, I own this thing, intellectual property, you don't own it. I don't care if your grandmama made it 20 years ago. If you have not proven you own this thing, they can take it from you. So it's always goes back to education. We've always said that as African Americans, education, knowledge is going to be a liberation thing for us forever. This is the same thing. Knowing when it's a tool versus when it's theft, those types of things, when they are literally, working against you and trying to work around what you're doing versus, hey, I can, use this for a community thing. I can work my pacemaker better with AI versus I'm stealing all your legacy. We can't be mad about cultural appropriation of other people taking our stuff, but then we're giving it away because we want to just do it quickly, do it fast.
I'm so grateful for all of you, both of you being here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank y'all guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, family. Music is memory, movement, and momentum.
Follow us on social, check out the playlist that inspired today's episode, and keep the conversation going. Have the audacity to leave your mark.
Bring me your fears, darling. Bring me your tears. Bring me your sorrows, and I'll hold them here. Life is a mystery that unfolds in years. I'll go the distance. Tell me where we go from here. Said we can go under a midnight's blue, and we can grow even when the skies are blue. Said we can go even in a midnight's blue, and we can grow even in a midnight's blue. Darling, bring me your tears, bring me your sorrows, and I'll hold them here. Life is a mystery that unfolds in years. I'll go the distance. Tell me where we go from here. Said we can go under a midnight's blue. The skies are blue. Said we can go even in a midnight's blue, and we can grow even in a midnight's blue. Blue, blue, blue. a midnight's blue. Even when the stars shine true, even in the moonlight, streaming through the clouds like everything's alright too. Even in a midnight's blue, even when the stars shine true, even when the moonlight, streaming through the clouds like everything is alright too. Everything is alright too. Everything is alright too. Even when the moonlight streaming through the clouds like everything is alright too. Everything is alright too. Everything is alright too. Through the clouds like everything is alright too.